Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvatyata Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Shantata Gato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Eva Mati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Eva Mati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Eva Mati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Page 7. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje Choda Soge Chonam La Chanju Bardo Dane Kyabsuch Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Penjir Sanje Drubare Sho Sanje Choda Soge Chonam La Chanju Bardo Dane Kyabsuch Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Penjir Sanje Drubare Sho Sanje Choda Soge Chonam La Chanju Pardo Dane Kyabsuch Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Benjir Sanje Drubare Sho. Okay, let us turn to page 3. The first, page 3, verse of salutation of Pramana Samuchaya. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugadam protector, to Yagma prostrations. This stanza is so precious. His Holiness the Dalai Lama recites this oftentimes and would oftentimes encourage people to practice in line with how these two lines are designed, or these two lines are constructed. And these two lines are actually, say, the word of salutation to the Buddha Shakyamuni by Acharya Dignaga. This text is written by Acharya Dignaga, Pramana Samuchaya Acharya Dignaka. Acharya Dignaka, 6th century AD. 6th century AD. In fact, what happened was that Acharya Dignaka, since he was young, maybe aged 6th century AD means how many years ago? Anyone? 6th century AD. How many years ago? Many years ago. Yeah, that I know. 1,400 years ago. 1,400 years ago, Acharya Dignaka. Oh, now 1,400 years is too long ago, right? So Lama Selingpa, 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, too long ago. And Acharya Dignaka, he was just about very young age, maybe around 8, 9 or 10. 8, 9, 10. He was very young and very brilliant. And in those days, 1,400 years ago, no proper school as what we have now. No proper school as what we have now, particularly in the villages, where there used to be, say, one person who is more learned, and all the families around, all the children from the neighborhood will all be sent to him, to his house, right? And then he would give lessons to them in his house or outside underneath a tree. So that was the tradition. Then it was very basic, the teaching going there. And some of the teachers, maybe some of the elders, meaning that who took charge of giving teachings, may be very learned and oftentimes not as learned. And so Acharya Dignaka, his parents used to send him to one of those teachers. And one day the teacher taught how the self exists as permanent, unitarian, independent. How the self exists as so solid. Then Acharya Dignaka, this young boy, he could not understand what he was saying. He was not really happy with what the teacher was saying. But because he was young, and in those days, the teacher-student relationship is like you have to total surrender. You can't say anything against the teacher right on the spot. So the class finished. And then the students, the children all left for their homes. Then Acharya Dignaka, that night, what he was doing was that he stripped off all his clothes. Just 8, 9 years old, very young boy, stripped all his clothes, and then holding a lantern and looking for something. And all the other boys thought that this boy had gone crazy. So the next day they reported this to the teacher, that Dignaka was doing like this. He stripped his clothes and he was looking for something with a lantern. He gone crazy. And the teacher came to know what Dignaka was doing. So Dignaka, when everything was reported to teacher, he was just watching what the teacher's reaction. And the teacher was watching what this boy was doing. So two of them could communicate. All others think that this boy went crazy. So the teacher knew exactly what the boy was trying to do. And the boy exactly knew what the teacher was going to respond to him. Teacher said, Dignaka, did you do it? And he said, yes, sir. Then the teacher said, get out. And he happily left the school. Right? So, in fact, there was a kind of debate going between the teacher and him. Teacher was saying that the self exists so objectively, so solidly. And he is saying that no way I can see this self. Right? He stripped off and he was looking with the lantern, saying that I can't see this self. Everything is imputed on the basis of the 5 aggregates. Nothing is there as a concrete self. This was what this boy was saying. Right? He could not say directly to the teacher. And the teacher communicated with the boy, and knowing that this boy is so brilliant, and other boys did not know that he was brilliant. Other boys thought that he was crazy. And then the teacher, two of them communicated so well. Right? And the teacher said, did you do it? He said, yes, sir. Then the teacher said, get out. Then he left. He left and he became a great, great logician. He became the father of the Buddhist logic, right? So he composed this text, these 2 lines. These 2 lines, in fact, it's not just 2 lines, it's a whole text. He composed a whole text, and he was sitting for a retreat. He was more like a hermit. And in the mornings, early mornings, he would do his practice, all these things, and then around like noon, he would go down to go for alms round. He started to compose this text, Pramana Samuchaya, and then on a slate. In those days, no papers. On a slate, he first wrote the word of salutation. In Tibetan, Samar Gyurba Dola Pensheba Dumba Deshe Gyubla Chasolo Toge Ngenju Dawa Lazabet Samar Gyubet Swishin Shebarcha. This is the Tibetan version, translation. So he wrote it on the slate and kept it that's outside his hermitage. And then he left for the alms round. Coming back, everything was erased. Again, the next day he wrote the same thing and left for alms round. Again, coming back, erased 3 times. Then the 3rd time, what he wrote, he did not write this salutation. He wrote, "Whosoever erased my work, if you erase this out of fun, what I'm doing is not a fun. This is very important work I'm doing. Don't erase this. If you erase this because you disagree with me, come in person, we will meet." He wrote it like this and then left. Coming back, he saw a man waiting there. Okay, so 2 of them in those days is very interesting, unlike today. If you really debate, and it's going to be disaster. So in those days, debate, it is a culture. It was a tradition. It was a culture. You debate, and whoever lost the debate, you should surrender, and you should be converted to the other tradition in those days, right? So, if the teacher lost the debate, the teacher, along with all his students, like 500 students, all should be converted to the other tradition. For example, the Buddhist logician, he lost the debate to. In those days, there was no Hinduism as such. So basically, there were like about five, the prominent, the philosophies in India, like Samkhya, Charvaka, Mimamsaka, Nyaya, then Vedanta. So these 5 or 6 main, the 6 prominent, the philosophical traditions were there. So if the Buddhists debating with the Samkhyas and the Buddhist teacher lost the debate, the same Buddhist teacher along with all his students should be converted to Samkhya. Right? Henceforth, you are not a Buddhist. You have to follow Samkhya tradition. Whereas if the Samkhya teacher lost the debate, he along with all his students should be converted to Buddhist. This was the bet those days. So 2 of them were debating, and then finally Acharya Dignaga, who can really compete with him, he was the father of the Buddhist logic. A great logician. He was the father of the logic. Then the other person lost the debate. And oftentimes it also happens that people are not so sincere. When they lost the debate, they don't stick to the bet. Right? Instead of surrendering, converting, he becomes so angry, and he also had the miracle power. Through his miracle power, he sent fire from his mouth. He could send fire from his mouth towards Acharya Dignaga, and all the ropes were burned. Then Acharya Dignaga, he felt so sorry, and he felt so sad. I am supposed to be following the Bodhisattva path, where I pray, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Now today, I see that I can't even benefit one person. Even one person, I debate, and he becomes so angry, and now he's instead of sticking to the bet, this is what he's doing. Acharya Dignaga was so sad, and then what he did was that he threw this slate in the air. Threw the slate in the air with the commitment that the moment this slate will fall, I'll give up my principle of helping others. So this was what he committed. He threw the slate in the air, and then he was waiting for the slate falling down. It never fell, right? He looked up and he saw the other Manjushri holding the slate there, right? And then other Manjushri said, "My Charlie, why are you demoralized? Why are you demoralized? I'm always there with you. My blessings are with you. My guidance are with you. I'm always there with you. Why are you demoralized? Continue your work. Continue to write this book, and this book will be like an ice to dispel the darkness of the mind from the human beings. So this will be a great eye for millions and millions. Continue to work on this." This was the inspiration that the blessings given. So then, finally this book came into being. The Abhisamaya, Pramana Samuchaya, this book came into being. Compendium of Valid Cognition, this book came into being. Okay, so if you read this, the two lines, this is so precious. So this will tell us what exactly is Dharma. What exactly is Dharma? Oftentimes we have a very wrong impression of what Dharma is. Chanting, reciting, chanting, just making prostrations and these things. And then, okay, so just see what is a real Dharma. Okay, so it says, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. So what we seek is, we are in samsara, and we don't know how to get out of samsara. So for this we need a reliable guide. We need the most reliable guide. So they're referring to the Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha Shakyamuni, initially when he was Prince Siddhartha in the palace, he was not a guide. He was a very bright, compassionate young prince. As simple as that. According to the general biography, not the biography according to the Mahayana Sutras. Okay, according to the historical biography, he was a prince, very bright and very compassionate. So these were his two qualities, and he was the as a prince. Then, witnessing that there's so many problems in the palace. Witness all these things, and then say the sons and the other children, the youngsters, royal boys and girls abusing the commoners. He could see all these things, and he was supporting the commoners so much. And he was literally fighting against those, the children who were abusing others, literally fighting against them. And then seeing the wars between the various kingdoms, empires, seeing so many people dying, and then looking for so how can I help this? How can I make sure that the beings don't suffer? And then the very common story has it that he had the side of these four things. It's not just as simple as this, seeing the side of sickness, aging, death, and the ascetic. Four sides. In fact, more than that, he already saw the complications in the palace. How the royal youngsters, they were abusing others. He saw all these things. So that way, he was actually looking for ways and means to remove all these problems. So then what happened is that finally, he became the enlightened Buddha under the Bodhi tree. So now, this reliable guide who guides us, who has the capacity to guide us towards the ultimate awakening. So how come that he became such a reliable guide? Was he enlightened, the reliable guide, since time immemorial till now? So according to the account, no, he was just a prince. He did not have these realizations before. So how come he became one like that? Which means the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. He was not a reliable guide before. He was just an ordinary prince. Then he transformed. He became. Which means we can also become a reliable guide. We can also become enlightened. So this is inspiration. Who has transformed, which means that we can also become one. Not that he was enlightened right from the beginning. So this is inspiration for us. Okay, now, how did he become such a reliable guide, such an enlightened being? How did it become? Right? So if we know the process, then we'll be inspired to follow the same steps to become enlightened ourselves. So the steps are given here. Okay, 4 steps. Motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. 1. What's number 2? Hey, read what is there. Motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. Number 1. Number 2, the teacher. Number 3, Sugata. Number 4, protector. Okay, these 4 things. It is on these 4 bases that he eventually became such a reliable guide to lead beings from the miseries to the ultimate happiness. Okay, how did it happen? So what was the initial thing? You have to start from the scratch. So imagine that you're always accompanying this young Prince Siddhartha. Imagine that you're always accompanying Prince Siddhartha and see how he evolved. So initially, he could see all the miseries around. So with these, then what happened? He had a tremendous compassion towards the beings who are suffering. So the first one is motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. I should benefit the sentient beings. This was the initial driving force is the motivation to benefit sentient beings. Okay, now how should I benefit the sentient beings? Okay, what would be your opinion? If you really wholeheartedly, say for example, if the child is going to sitting for an exam on say physics, right? Physics, and the child is and you are not so good in physics, right? And the child is struggling so much, right? So you have to help the child, right? And the same people around, no one good in physics, right? So, and you are so keen to help the child. So what will you do? Tell me. What will you do? What will you do? And you are intelligent. You are not bad. You are not totally dull person. You are intelligent enough. So what do you do now? You learn physics yourself, right? By learning biology, by learning, say, the language and so forth does not help. The child needs help in physics. So you will learn physics yourself, right? So that you can teach. So the second one is teacher. To teach the wisdom of emptiness, which will be the final solution to remove the self-grasping ignorance and thus terminating the suffering, right? So this Prince Siddhartha, he was looking for the final solution to all these problems, and finally he realized that self-grasping ignorance is responsible for all the miseries, and to exterminate self-grasping ignorance, until the beings have the wisdom of emptiness, their miseries cannot come to an end. So this wisdom of emptiness must be taught, and I don't know this, I must learn it. So he learned it in order to become the teacher to teach the wisdom of emptiness. So there's number 2. Right? After learning, things are all illusion-like, things are all dream-like. If you wake up from the dream, then all the nightmare of the dream stops. So intellectually you understand it. Now, what should you do? You should experiment it. You should experiment it to see whether it is true. What you've learned in the theory class, you have to go to the laboratory to check if the salt analysis. How many of you did the salt analysis? 1. Salt analysis as a part of chemistry. You've forgotten that? You did not do it. Okay. In India, we have to do it. In Australia, you have to do it. Okay, Singaporeans exempted. Okay, so same. There are things which we learned theory, and then you have to go to the laboratory to test whether you have learned in the theory actually works there. So what you've learned to teach the wisdom of emptiness, and then this Prince Siddhartha applied that to himself by meditating on the dreamlike nature of all phenomena, the emptiness of all phenomena. He was meditating on this, and finally what happens? His self-grasping ignorance dissolves. Then all the offshoots anger, attachment, jealousy, competitiveness, fear, anxiety, stress, all dissolve. Then what he experienced? He experienced absolute peace. Sugata is the one. Sugata means the one who has gone to the bliss. Sugata means the one who has gone to the bliss of freedom from all miseries. He experienced it. So he became the Sugata. He became the Sugata, the one who has gone to the bliss of freedom from all miseries. All the agitations stop. That is Sugata. Now with this Sugata, what happens? You become so confident, right? You agree with me? You become so confident that, okay, so now I experience this. I experience the fearlessness. I experience the ecstasy of the total freedom from miseries. Now I'm experiencing it. With this confidence, he becomes so confident to teach others and protect others. Protect others from the miseries, right? By teaching them the wisdom of emptiness. So he became the protector. You're getting it? So we see that initially he was driven by the great compassion, altruism. Then it made him to look for the solution, which is the wisdom of emptiness, which he was to teach to the beings. Then after finding this solution, he applied it on himself to see how it works. Then finally he realized it works so well that all the miseries come to an end within him. So with this confidence, with this experience of the Sugata, becoming a Sugata, then he went to protect the beings. With his confidence, he went to protect the beings by teaching the wisdom of emptiness, right? So this is so precious. With this, okay, this is how our teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, proceeded, and they followed his path, eventually achieved the full awakening. If this were the case, now in our case, if we are to follow his footsteps, what is the key for us to do? Tell me. What is the key for us to do now? From the steps which we could see from here, what is the key for us to generate great compassion, altruism first, then?
Transform ourselves.
Okay. Yes, how transform? Learn the wisdom of emptiness, right? Learn the wisdom. It does not say HYT, right? It says the wisdom of emptiness. So HYT should be somehow a part of it, there, right? But the main structure, the skeleton, HYT may be to make our, with the skeleton, to make it beautiful, right? Then the decorative parts are the HYT. The male skeleton, these are the four main, the pieces of the skeleton of a body, right? Okay, so one is the Bodhicitta. The first one is the Bodhicitta. Number two is the wisdom of emptiness, right? Number three is you have to apply it, right? Don't say, oh yes, wisdom of emptiness, I know, right? I know. And then say, so wisdom of emptiness is useful only when you go for these conferences, right? Okay, there's some conference there, or Buddhist conference there, there's some professors coming, okay, you like to go there, okay, you can ask questions, yes, I'll go there. So only then it is useful, otherwise, in daily life, no use. That is not the case, you have to apply it. Number three, apply it, right? Okay, once you apply this, then what happens? Then you will experience what you are seeking. You will experience the total freedom, the Sugata, the bliss of total freedom from suffering. You will experience it. Once you experience it, you become so confident to lead all other sentient beings towards the enlightenment. Why? Because you are motivated by great compassion, right? That was the key. Motivated by great compassion, because you're initially driven by compassion. That compassion, when you find a path, when you experience the Sugata, then this compassion will make you to teach, will make you to protect others. So these are four important things. So this is what I'm sharing with you in the form of gist. In fact, this is not just this. This was written in 6th century AD. In 7th century AD, there was this great logician, Acharya Dharmakirti. Right? Acharya Dharmakirti. And how many of us read this and you think of writing a whole book on these two lines? How many of you came to this idea? Okay, Acharya Dharmakirti, he read these two lines and he got, wow, it's amazing. So this should not be left like these two lines. This must come in the form of a book. And he wrote the whole chapter on these two lines. Pramana Vartika chapter 2. Pramana Vartika chapter 2 is nothing but the explanation of these two lines. Right? And you read the Pramana Vartika chapter 2, and that also requires another huge volume as a commentary, because you read it and you will not understand it fully, right? So we need huge volume to understand these two lines. So what I've shared with you is in the form of gist, right? Okay, so it'll be good if you really want to see the structure, the whole structure of the practice of Dharma. You have to study Pramana Vartika chapter 2. And for this, you have to, just by reading it, some of the stanzas you will understand it, but most of them you need explanation, for which we have to depend on some very authoritative commentaries. Okay, so from this, what we see is that compassion part we are doing, Bodhicitta, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. Then number 2, the teacher, referring to the wisdom of emptiness, that we need to teach the wisdom of emptiness to others. So as a part of that, we're doing the wisdom today now, right? Wisdom of emptiness now. So for this wisdom of emptiness, yesterday, don't forget what we've learned already. The entities, isolates, entity-wise one, entity-wise different, isolated-wise one, isolated-wise different, positive phenomena, negative phenomena, affirming negative, non-affirming negative, right? Okay, don't forget that. Okay. So for this, some people are saying I don't know whether it's okay. So there's one question coming up. Let's say, for example, Jack, Mr. Jack. Let's say Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack. We see that Mr. Jack is nothing but made of 6 elements. Okay, is there any Jack? Jackie is there. Is there any Jack? No Jack? Okay, let's say Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack. I say, Mr. Jack, if you explore Mr. Jack, we see that he's just made of 6 elements. That's it. Or the 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates or 6 elements, whichever way you like to do. Let's say 5 aggregates. The way the Avalokiteshvara did in Heart Sutra. There are 5 aggregates. And as Nagarjuna did with 6 elements. Nagarjuna did both ways, aggregates as well as the 6 elements. Okay, that we'll do a little later. But here, let's say Mr. Jack is made of just 6 elements, that's it. 6 elements, and then the 6 elements, they're all individual, they're all independent from each other. Element earth, the solid part. The water, it has nothing to do with the element part. You can remove separate the water from the element, the solid part. So likewise, the fire, body heat, air, space, and consciousness, they're all 6 independent entities. Put them together, and karma bound them together. And then we see as Mr. Jack. Actually, when you go there, there's nothing there to point to and say that this Mr. Jack. There's nothing there. And it's quite scary, and there's also fact. Right? Right? So that way we see that Mr. Jack, 5 aggregates, imputed. If it is imputed, then Mr. Jack, is it imputed on the basis of Mr. Jack's 5 aggregates plus his clothes? 5 aggregates are his aggregates. Then Mr. Jack, is he imputed on the basis of his clothes also? Clothes? Answer is no. So we have to keep in mind the definition of a person. Definition of a person, right? We always say, even the definition, you don't try to give the definition on your own. Don't create your own definitions, right? Even when you speak about the definition must be very standard. Because finally, when you speak about a person is how we understood in the conventional sense. We have to understand the person in the conventions. Conventions mean how the ordinary people, they understand person. Right? When you speak about the table, wooden table, We have to understand this in line with how the carpenter understands it. Carpenter is the authority on table. Albert Einstein is not. Albert Einstein is authority on relativity theory, not on tables, not on farming. Oh, he's so learned, We don't know how to plant an apple tree. Oh, Albert Einstein, don't call him. Right? For apple trees, if you want to know, you have to ask the farmers. They are expert. For quantum physics, go to Albert Einstein. For the evolutionary theory, go to Charles Darwin. Don't go to Albert Einstein. He may not know anything. Go to Charles Darwin. Right? For music, go to Mozart. Don't go to Albert Einstein. Right? So this is how we have to know the conventions. For the tables, you go to the carpenters. And for the people, you and I, how do I know that? How do I understand, oh, this is a person, this is not a person. How do I understand it? So where should you go? We should go towards the ordinary people. Right? Okay, whether it's one paper or it's two paper. Whether it's one paper or two paper, go to the ordinary people. Right? Go to the ordinary, they'll decide. Whether it's one biscuit or two biscuit, go to the shopkeeper. He will decide. Right? So, say, for the people, the clothes and Mr. Jack, what's the difference? Clothes is something we can replace. Clothes is something we can replace. Or I'm intact. I simply change my clothes. So this is the ordinary people's understanding. So therefore, the person is designated. Person is defined as and the entity designated entity as a being designated on the basis of the 5 or 4 aggregates. A being which is designated on the basis of 5 or 4 aggregates. In the case of the human beings, it is 5 aggregates. In the case of the animals, 5 aggregates, who have the physical form on the basis of 5 aggregates. Whereas those who do not have physical form, designated on the basis of the 4 aggregates. By the way, tell me, what are the 5 aggregates? Anyone, very quickly. Form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness. Very good. Okay, those of us who are new, let us note them down. Or if you have a good photographic memory, put them in your photographic memory. One is form, aggregate form, feeling, discrimination. Number 3 is discrimination. Number 4 is compositional factors. And number 5, consciousness. Okay, don't define it in your own way, saying that form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, consciousness, and clothes. Don't add the clothes there. Right? So the clothes are not the basic destination. Basic destination only the 5. So whether the clothes included, not included, it doesn't matter. As long as for the human beings there are 5 aggregates, a being designated on that is the definition of a person. Right? And then say the beginners, you may be wondering as to, okay, just by citing what these 5 aggregates do not help. Just by citing that, it does not help. So what are these aggregates? Okay, very simple. What we have, same. What we have is, say, I'm a male, I'm a female. When we say like this, it is on the basis of the physical body. So that physical body is our aggregate of form. Now we also have the same, just wait, I'm thinking. I'm thinking means it's not my body thinking, it's my mind thinking. Now, alongside the body, there's also the mind. Now, within the mind, we see that mind in general. When I speak about Indonesian government, when I speak about the Indonesian government, we're not going to the details. Indonesian government, the ministry, external ministry, the home ministry, the ministry of education, ministry of railway, ministry of agriculture, ministry of industries. I'm not going to the details. I just say the Indonesian government in general. Likewise, our mind. There are so many ministries inside our mind. There are so many departments inside our mind. So when we speak of the mind in general, we call it the aggregate of consciousness. The mind in general. right, is known as the aggregate of consciousness. Okay, 2 aggregates gone. Now when we go into the details, when you go into details of the mind, we see within the mind, we see that there are so many departments, there are so many functions. There are so many functions with the mind. One of which is the feeling. Our mind could feel the pain, feel the happiness, feel the cold, feel the heat, feel the smoothness, feel the roughness. Right? We can feel. So that feeling plays a very important role. One of the functions of the mind is to feel. So for that, we ascribe a separate aggregate known as the aggregate of feeling. Because feeling plays a very important role. For the ordinary people, we just engaged in actions, whatever actions, good, bad, neutral, whatever. We engage in actions driven by 99% of our actions are driven by feelings. 99% of our actions are driven by feelings, right? So when you say, okay, you signed up for you did not sign up for the Bodhicitta retreat. Let's say you did not sign up for the Bodhicitta retreat, and your friends have already signed up for the Bodhicitta retreat, right? And then now your friend, they're preparing. Okay, I'm going to feel so bored alone. All my friends are going to go to Indonesia. I'll be so bored, right? So it may be interesting to go there. When is their seat, right? What? If I go there, I will not feel bored. My friends are there. I'll be happy. So this feeling of the prospect of happiness, that drives you to sign up, right? And somebody already signed up. And then suddenly you hear very bad news. Okay, if I go there, still I'll be very unhappy there. No point going. When I'm very sorry, can I pull what's the proper English? Can I pull back? Huh? Can I pull out? When I say, okay, it's fine, but it's good if you come. Okay, to make you happy, I'll come. Right? To make you happy. Now the person feels happy to see that when I would be happy if I come. So this happiness drives him to not to pull out. Right? So we see that almost, if not 100%, 99% of our actions are all driven by the feelings. So the feeling play a very important role. Same when somebody is frowning at you, not talking to you, right? Always so reserved, cold, and nasty towards you. It's all because when a person sees you, there's a very unpleasant feeling coming into the person. So that makes the person to behave like this. Whereas, if you can play magic, whereby the person sees you and a pleasant feeling coming in that person, the person will always talk nicely to you, will behave nicely to you. Right? Okay. So, therefore, the feelings play a very important role. And, okay, this is going to be too much digression. Let's make it very quick. Feeling is one very important thing. Now, another thing which is very important within the function of the mind, another part which is very important is discrimination. This is very important part of the mental function. Vinita, make sure that you have something, a support behind you. Or on a chair. That's good. Sit on a chair. No, sit on a chair. Vinita. No, it's cold behind. Okay, good. But a sit on a chair would be good actually. Okay. So now, discrimination. This is so important. This function of the discrimination, when you speak about discrimination, it has negative connotation. Right? Gender discrimination, racial discrimination, and so forth. This is one understanding. What we are speaking of is not in that connotation. Discrimination means here is ability to discern things properly. This is the meaning of the connotation to discrimination in this context. So that is so important, right? What is the quality of your life? If you are into physics, what is the quality of you being a physicist? If you're a musician, what is the quality of you being a musician?
If you are if you are a teacher, what is the quality of you being a teacher? Or if you are counselor, what is the quality of your counseling? So if or else what? IT person, whether you are the what is that? CEO, one company, IT company, or you are just ordinary worker, that depends on the discrimination, right? And if you are a footballer, whether you are Messi or not, that is again determined by the discrimination, right? Likewise, dance. Whether you're Michael Jackson, in this world there was only one Michael Jackson, right? There are so many dancers, but they don't get to that degree, the standard of Michael Jackson's the skills, because they don't have that sharp discrimination pertaining to the dance movements, right? Everything, which level you reach, it is determined by the quality, the sharpness of the discrimination that you have. Whatever field you are in, be it drawing, be it designing, right? For everything, the sharpness of the discrimination that decides the quality of your the professionalism, right? That is so important. Likewise, as a Dharma practitioner, Gade, how fast you go, gade, that also depends on the what? The faculty of discrimination. That is so important. So therefore, emphasis must be to improvise, to sharpen this factor of discrimination, where the mind is able to discern the nuances involved in that particular discipline. That is the discrimination, the nuances. You see the subtlety. For example, say, so how we displayed the tangas there, right? How we displayed the tangas there. And if someone who has much less discrimination pertaining to the aesthetics, right? They could not display as good as what Vena has displayed here, right? But if someone is a Japanese designer, he will come here and he will look at it, he will see so many errors there. Right? So what I'm saying is that the discrimination, the nuances, because we look at it and say, if I'm okay, I'm not. When I was younger, I used to be quite a good painter. So for the last many years, no touch. So if I kept in touch, if I maintained the touch with the painting, then if I paint something, it would be very good now. Now, in the ordinary people's eyes, my painting and Michelangelo's painting, people will say that these two are the same. But in the eyes of the experts, they will see such a contrast between the two. Contrast. This is Michelangelo's painting, this is Dorji's painting. They will distinguish very easily, right? Whereas in the ordinary people's eyes, they don't have that eyes to see that, which means they cannot see the nuances. They cannot see the nuances. The subtle difference. Nuances meaning the subtle difference. You cannot see that. Right? Now, with the discrimination, as this faculty of discrimination, the aggregate of discrimination, as it is sharpened, you are able to see the more and more subtle nuances of whatever field that you're engaged in. So that makes you very special. That gives you a quality to what you're doing. So the quality of your life is determined by the aggregate of discrimination. And all your actions are determined by the aggregate of feeling. The quality of life is determined by the aggregate of discrimination. So these two are so important, right? So this is so important. Okay, so it's for this reason that of all the millions of mental functions that we have, these two are taken as a separate aggregate of feeling and aggregate of discrimination. So how many aggregates gone now? 3 or 4? Aggregate of form is gone, aggregate of consciousness is gone, aggregate of feeling is gone, aggregate of discrimination is gone, four are gone. And of the different mental functions, the Buddha at one time, he picked up 51 mental functions, which are very relevant to our Dharma practice. Of the 51, 2 are exceptionally important, which are feeling and discrimination. So these 2 are counted as separate aggregates. Now of the 51, how many mental factors are left? 49 are left. So the 49 are all put under one category known as compositional factors. Right? Composite factors. Okay. And you may be wondering why it is known as composite factors. Composite factors meaning impermanent phenomena. Composite factors meaning composite phenomena. Right? We learned that compounded phenomena. Composite phenomena. These are the same. Composite factors means the compounded phenomena or impermanent phenomena other than the other 4, the remaining 4. Right? As simple as that. Composite phenomena other than the remaining 4. What are the remaining 4? Aggregate of form, aggregate of consciousness, aggregate of feeling, aggregate of discrimination. Okay. So these 5 are known as the 5 aggregates. Okay. So there are some more questions here, but I will do them later. So now we continue with the main discussion. So which means that a person is a person should be defined. Don't define it in your own ways. There's a very standard definition. And even the definition, who decided the definitions? That should be decided on the basis of the domain where the person is understood in the best form. Say ordinary people, they understand what a person is. Ordinary people, when in the conversation, it's about you did it, and your shirt did it. We'll never say this. You did it, right? So there's always a very clear understanding of what a person is according to the ordinary people's norms or conventions. So that should be defined according to that. So what is that definition? Definition of person is a being designated on the basis of the 5 or 4 aggregates. Now in our case, in human beings, we have 5 aggregates. In other words, the beings who have 5 aggregates, so main is the mind and the body. Mind and body. So something which does not have a mind is not at all a person, is not at all a being. Now, body. Some have body, all the beings have mind, but some have body, some may not have body. For example, the beings in the formless realm, they do not have the physical form, they do not have a body, they only have the 4 aggregates, 4 mental aggregates, right? So any being designated on the basis of the 4 or 5 aggregates is a person. This is definition. Okay, with that in mind, let's now quickly go to the where we left yesterday. Yes. Yes, Buddha is a person. Okay, let's say Buddha, right? Again, I have to end the class. Buddha. Okay, let's say Buddha Shakyamuni. Right? Buddha is very complex. Buddha means is very pervasive. Right? We understand Buddha means Buddha Shakyamuni. So from that point of view, Buddha Shakyamuni is a person. Yes.
In the Heart Sutra, when we say form is empty and emptiness is form, does this form refer to just a person?
Not a person.
Either 5 or 4 aggregates? No.
Not a person, it is the physical form. Of the 5 aggregates, only the aggregate of the form. Remaining 4 aggregates are not yet discussed. This will be discussed just immediately after saying form is empty, empty is form, empty is not on form, form is on. Likewise, if you read it, just read it. Do you remember it? Likewise, the feeling, discrimination, composite factors, consciousness are empty. Right? Okay. So this is for the form. Then you apply the same thing for the feeling. Feeling is empty, emptiness is feeling. Feeling is not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than feeling. Likewise, what? Discrimination is empty, emptiness is discrimination. You apply this for all the 5 aggregates. Right? Okay, good. Now, okay, what exactly is emptiness? without understanding of which you cannot become a teacher of enlightenment. If you cannot become a teacher of enlightenment, how can you expect to experience sukha, You cannot experience the ecstasy of enlightenment, without which you cannot benefit the sentient beings. So for that, to benefit all sentient beings, you should have to experience yourself. To have to experience yourself, you should apply this wisdom of emptiness. To apply the wisdom of emptiness on yourself, first you have to know what the wisdom of emptiness is. So let's explore what the wisdom of emptiness is. Okay, so there we need to know what is known as the 4 essentials to discern emptiness. 4 essentials to establish emptiness. 4 essentials to establish emptiness. Four essentials to establish emptiness. Okay, 1. The essential of identifying the object of negation. Essential of identifying the object of negation. Number 2, number 1, essential of understanding the object of negation. N-E-G-A-T-I-O-N, negation. Okay, don't worry about the meaning, we'll explain later. Identifying the word essential, identify the object of negation. Number 1. Number 2, the essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being one with its parts. The essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being one with its parts. The essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being one with its parts. Essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being one with its parts. Number 3. Essential of understanding the emptiness of the objects being different from its parts. Essential understanding the emptiness of the objects being different from its parts. Number 4. The essential of understanding the pervasion. Essential of understanding the pervasion. The essential of understanding the pervasion, P-E-R-V-A, pervasion. The essential of understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being one with or different. Essential of understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being one with or different from its parts, entails the emptiness of the objective existence. Entails the emptiness of the objective existence of the object. Okay. Essential of understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being one with or different from its parts entails the emptiness of objectivity, or entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Oh, don't worry, there are more things to come, don't worry. Yeah. Okay. The essential of understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being one with or different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Essential for understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being one with or different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Essential for understanding the pervasion, that anything which is empty of being one with or different from its parts entails the emptiness of objective existence of the object. Good? Okay. Okay, the first. What is the first one? Okay, no, we are not finished. So that is the four essentials. Now the conclusion, right? Conclusion. So these are the four essentials. Now you have to, after understanding these four things, then a final conclusion of the emptiness should come there. Okay, conclusion. You write conclusion. Conclusion. Therefore, emptiness of objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Okay. Therefore, emptiness of objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Therefore, emptiness of objectivity of the... You want to make it even more complicated? I'll be happy to make it. Emptiness of objectification of the object... What? Emptiness of the objectification of the... What? Okay, let me make it simple then. Even I'm getting confused. Okay. Emptiness of objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Emptiness of objectivity of the object. Emptiness of the objectivity of the... Okay. Emptiness of the objectification of the objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Emptiness of objectification of the objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Emptiness of the objectification of the objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Emptiness of the objectification of the objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. You got it? Okay, let's say this again. Okay, how many objects? How many objects are there? I don't know. Okay, let's say emptiness of objectification of the objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. 5. Oh, very good. 5. Right? Okay, at least if you can say this next life, no problem. At least if you can say this, right? Next life when you meet with Arjuna, he'll be so happy. Where did you learn this from? I learned it from Jambi. Right? What is that? Emptiness of objectification of the objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object. Right? Okay. Okay, with this, what's the first essential? What's the first essential? Essential of identifying the object of negation. Okay, this is so important. This is so important. If you miss the first point, then all the remaining points we were sure going to be missed. No, we're sure going to miss. And then depending on how you identify the object of negation, if you identify the object of negation 50%, only 50% correct, then at the most you will get 50% of the emptiness, you will not get the full emptiness. Likewise, if you are able to identify the object of negation like 80%, you will get 80% of emptiness and still something is missing there. So it is so important to make sure that object of identifying the object of negation, that must be done very precisely, so accurately. So for this, what we need to keep in mind is that we need to avoid the two extremes. When you identify object of negation, to make it very precise, you have to avoid the two extremes. The one extreme is the... Okay. When you remember? Two extremes? No? Okay. Huh? Okay. Huh? Yes, in a loose sense, we say over-negation and over-negation, under-negation, precise. But there's one technical term. Okay, I used that during the Bali retreat. Do you remember? Huh? You were not there. Anyone who's from Bali retreat? Huh? Okay, now even this English term, I tend to forget it. So in a loose sense, not in a loose sense, say the over-negation, under-negation, this is perfect. There's nothing wrong with this. But there's one terminology which is very powerful, right? One is the maximalist redundancy. Thank you. Oh, Fiza reminded us. Wow. Okay. Maximalist redundancy and minimalist inadequacy. Maximalist redundancy and minimalist inadequacy. Even this word is so powerful. Even these two words, so powerful to understand. From there you will understand greatly just from these labels. First one is maximalist redundancy and minimalist inadequacy. Minimalist inadequacy. In fact, these two words I got it from somewhere. I got from some, wow, it fits so well here. Then I picked up here and now I forgot the words. Okay, maximalist redundancy and minimalist inadequacy. Okay, what it means is that, for example, say if there is a child and the child needs to buy school bag, and the school bag costs you $10, and the child, if you're not too careful, the child can say the child is not too good at using the money, right? Using money. So if you give $100 to him, what happens? He needs only $10. Then it will spoil the child, right? It will. The money that you gave is over much more than what he actually requires. So this can spoil the child. One. Now, the child needs $10, and during your time, when you were a child, the school bag costs you $1. And you give $1 to this child. And the child will not be able to buy the bag. So it doesn't serve the purpose. So this is minimalist inadequacy. You're getting it? So if you are very careful to make sure the child is not spoiled, and the child gets what he requires, or what she requires, then how much should you give? You should precisely give $10. You're getting it? Okay. So likewise, maximalist redundancy, meaning, for example, let's say, okay, oftentimes this happens even on the government level. Maximalist redundancy is what happens to the government level as well. This is what I've seen, right? Okay, let's say, how many of you become sick because of the food poisoning or whatever? How many of you become sick? Raise your hands. Okay, there's so many of you. Hey, now all of us, we should not eat food. Eating food makes us sick. Don't eat food. Okay, what do you think? Is it true or not? Not true. Oh, they become sick because of eating food, right? So when you say food, no food at all, you are overgeneralizing, right? You are going to the extreme of maximalist redundancy, right? Bad food is to be stopped, not all food. Bad food is to be stopped, not all food. You're getting it? Okay. So if you negate more than what is to be negated, bad food is to be stopped, and if you stop more than what is to be negated, what is to be stopped, then this is known as maximalist redundancy, right? Okay. Whereas if you say that, you got sick because of the food, it's not really because of the food. It's because of, it's because of unhealthy water. Unhealthy water. And there could be so many other factors. Unhealthy water could be one factor, right? Could be one factor. And even the vegetables, they themselves, they might have some, the bacteria, viruses, germs, whatever. So water, unhealthy water is one of the factors. And I said it's because of this water. If you don't drink the unhealthy water, then you should be fine. When you eat food, make sure that you don't drink that tap water, then you should be fine. No, which means that there are other factors also. So you are rejecting a partial, not all the what harms you. That is known as minimalist inadequacy. What you reject, what you stop is inadequate, it's not full. So one is, what you reject is over, more than what is to be stopped. One is you inadequately reject it. You're getting it? These are two things. Likewise, now we go into the emptiness of your negation. Let's say, okay, tell me, anyone, quickly tell me, what is emptiness? Anyone, quickly tell me, what is emptiness? Yes, Vinita. Okay, absence of objective existence, right? Okay, absence of objective existence. Okay, what is emptiness? Oh, the rosary is emptiness, I'm emptiness, the whole is emptiness, right? The flower is emptiness. This is wrong. This is wrong. The flower is not emptiness. Absence of objective existence of the flower is the emptiness of the flower, right? Tell me, what is the emptiness of flower? Absence of objective existence of the flower is the emptiness of the flower, right? When I say what is emptiness, always have to start with absence or emptiness or voidness, right? Absence of objective existence of the flower is emptiness of the flower. So, when you speak of the absence of objective existence, now there are many synonyms to the objective existence. Absence of intrinsic existence of the flower is the emptiness of the flower, right? So these are all synonyms. Always begin by using this word absence or emptiness or voidness, like this, right? Okay. So flower, is it emptiness? No. What's the emptiness of the flower? Absence of objective existence of the flower is the emptiness of the flower, right? Okay, good. Now with this, the first, to really understand, when we say that, what's the emptiness of flower? What's the emptiness of flower? Tell me. What's the emptiness of flower? Absence of objective existence of the flower is the emptiness of the flower. Okay. Absence of the objective existence of the flower. Okay. Absence of objective existence of the flower. When you say absence, what did you negate? When you say absence of objective existence, what did you negate? When you say absence, which means that you say that something is not there, what did you negate? Objective existence is negated. When I say that, oh, I have a rosary in my hand, oh, now my hand is absent of rosary, right? My hand is absent of rosary. So what did I negate? Rosary. Rosary in my hand is negated. Rosary is not negated. Rosary is still there on the table. Rosary in my hand is negated. You are getting it? Okay. My hand is absent of objective existence. What is negated? Objective existence of my hand is negated. You're getting it? So when we speak about when I say, oh, there's no tiger in this hall, what is the object of negation? What is to be negated? What is the object of negation? Tiger in this hall is negated. When I say this flower is not the blue flower, what is negated? This flower being a blue flower is negated. This flower being a blue flower is negated, right? Okay. People here are not from Mars. People here are not from Mars. What is negated? People here being from Mars is negated, right? Oh, things are empty of objective existence. What is negated? Things as being objective existence is negated, right? Okay. So when you speak about the first essential, identifying the object of negation. Identifying the object of negation. When you speak about pertaining to emptiness, when you speak about emptiness, what is negated? Tell me. What is negated when you speak about emptiness? Objective existence is negated. You're getting it? Okay, very good. So what is negated? What is the object of negation pertaining to emptiness? What is the object of negation? Objective existence, true existence, independent existence, intrinsic existence, inherent existence, absolute existence, ultimate existence, right? So all these we have to know as synonyms. What are they? Tell me how many synonyms you know? Objective existence, Intrinsic existence? Inherent existence? True existence? Absolute existence? Ultimate existence? Independent existence? Okay, we know 7. Okay, so these and then eventually, finally, when you get some understanding of emptiness, whereby you see something, okay, how I see this doesn't really exist the way it appears to me. That is deceptive. When you get to this level of understanding, what I'm seeing is not true. 100% is not true. For example, when you start hallucinating, right? When you start hallucinating and you start seeing a tiger jumping here and there, and you know that there's no tiger, but because of the hallucination, because of your illness, you are seeing tigers jumping here and there, right? So then, if you know that you are suffering from a hallucination, then you will be very confident that what I'm seeing as a tiger jumping here and there is my hallucination. It is not true. What I'm seeing is not true. Likewise, when you, for the first time, if you get a glimpse of emptiness, then what I'm seeing is actually not true. This is not really true, right? So when you get to this level of experience, it is very important for you to then go into the 7 synonyms, and to try to understand how there is no objective existence, how there is no intrinsic existence, separately, in order to understand them separately. For the time being, just club them together. How come there is no intrinsic existence? Because there is no objective existence. Just say like this for the time being, right? For the time being, no need for you to go into details. What does it mean by intrinsic? What does it mean by the, say, inherent? What does it mean by absolute? For the time being, you don't worry too much about that. Just know these vocabularies. Later on, when you get some degree of understanding of emptiness, then you must work on individually to make sure that individually they make sense and they will all take you to the same understanding. Okay, with this, identifying the object of negation. So now tell me, what is the object of negation pertaining to emptiness? Louder? No. Say emptiness is the absence of objective existence. What is the opposite of that? What is the object of negation? What is to be negated? Objective existence, right? When you negate this, then you get the absence of objective existence. Absence of objective existence is the emptiness which we have to understand. This is not going to be negated. What is to be negated is the objective existence. You're getting it? Okay. The next question. What exactly is objective existence? What do you understand by objective existence? This is the next question. 2 questions. The first one is, what is the object of negation of emptiness? Your answer is what? Objective existence. The next question. What do you understand by objective existence? Seeing things as independent and fixed. Very good. Christian? Okay, things exist from the object side. Very good. Anyone else? Anyone else who likes to add to this? Add to the 2 of them, or anything? Okay. So this is so important. Try to the best you can. That particularly with emptiness, don't keep things as vague, don't keep things as something intellectual which you really don't understand anything, you're able to emulate, but the 4 synonyms, I told you, emulate no problem, right? But what exactly is objective existence? This we must understand. This we must get a clue. This we must be very clear that objective existence means this. Okay, how many of us here we have watched movie in a movie theater? Titanic in movie theater. Titanic, right? Or just any movie in a movie theater, right? Okay, imagine you're watching a movie here. And where is the movie? Movie is on the screen. Where is the movie coming from? Projector. Where's the projector at the moment? Where is the projector? Oh, many of you don't even know where the projector is. Wow, that's amazing. So Singaporeans, you become like, there's a story, young boy. There was a young boy, and uncle was taking the young boy. And suddenly a cow crossed them, and the uncle pointed to the cow and said, "Hey boy, you know that the milk that you're drinking comes from this cow." The boy said, "No." And the uncle said, "Yes, the milk that you're drinking is coming from the cow." The boy said, "No," so confidently. Then the uncle asked, "Then tell me, where's the milk that you're drinking comes from?" He said, "It comes from the bottle." Right, Singaporeans, you never saw the projector. You only saw the movie. Right? Don't say that the milk comes from the bottle. Okay, tell me, you're watching the movie. The movie is here on the screen. Where is this movie coming from? From the projector. Where's the projector? Tell me. Huh? Behind you. Very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, the projector is behind you and the screen is in front of you. And you are watching the movie on the screen, not on the projector. Right? Don't forget, 2 questions. 1, where is the movie? On the screen. On the screen. Where is the movie coming from? From the screen or from the projector? From the projector. Don't forget these 2 things. Right? Okay. The movie that you're watching is like the object. Say, you are seeing this flower. You are seeing this flower. This is like the movie that you're watching. And the projector is like your mind. Projector is like your mind is like the projector. You getting it? Say, now the flower that you're watching becomes the movie, is the object. And the mind which is observing the flower is the subject, the projector. You getting it? It's the subject projector. Now when we say objective existence, what is the object of negation? What is the object of negation pertaining to emptiness? Objective existence. So let's say, in a loose sense, last time what we were talking about is the analogy of the 2 flowers. The pink flower in my left hand and the imaginary blue flower in my right hand. Of the 2 things, of the two flowers, tell me, in a loose sense, without any exposure to emptiness, tell me which of the 2 exists objectively, which of the 2 exists subjectively. Which of the 2 exists objectively? The pink flower in my left hand exists objectively, and what exists subjectively? Imaginary blue flower in my right hand exists subjectively in a loose sense. Why are you saying that the imaginary blue flower in my right hand exists subjectively? Why do you say this? Because it is purely coming from your mind. Mind is the subject. You're getting it? Likewise, when we watch the movie is on the screen, but it's not from the screen. Make this distinction. The movie is on the screen, it is not from the screen. It is from the projector. You agree with me? The movie is on the screen, but it is from the projector, not from the screen. Right? It is from the projector, it is on the screen. Likewise, the flower is the object. We are not rejecting object. The flower is the object, but it is not objectively real. It is subjectively real. Right? The movie is on the screen, but it's not from the screen. It's from this projector. Likewise, the flower is the object, but it exists subjectively, not objectively. Not coming from the object, it's coming from the subject. You're getting it? So the flower exists as an object or not? Yes, it does exist as an object. Object exists. Don't deny the object. Object exists. But how does the object exist? It exists objectively? It exists from the object, or it exists from the subject? It exists from the subject. How so? How? It exists from this subject. How? You can say that we have not learned it yet. Okay, now let's say the flower exists as the object, but it does not exist from the object. It exists from this subject. In other words, it exists subjectively. You're getting it? It exists subjectively. Okay. Now, when you look at the flower now, don't think that you are a philosopher at the moment. Look at the flower, right? How does it appear to you? Same. Does it appear to you like your mind is the movie projector and it has projected the flower there? Or it has nothing to do with my mind, it's 100% there. Nothing to do with my mind. Independent of my mind, the flower exists there. How does it appear to you? Look at it. Independently 100% there, nothing to do with my mind. Or, no, it is my mind as a projector, it projected the flower. Which of the two ways it appears to your mind? 100% from the object, nothing to do with mind. This is known as objective existence. This is what is to be negated. This is to be negated, right? So, unless we see emptiness directly, unless we reach the path of seeing, gate, paragate, unless we reach that level, 24/7 we'll continue to see things as objectively real. 24/7 in dreams, waking state, in dreams, in all situations, you continue to see everything as objectively real. When you see emptiness, during the path of accumulation, path of preparation, when you see emptiness, even the emptiness is seen as objectively real. Unless you reach the path of seeing, even the emptiness is seen as objectively real. Okay, so with this in mind, the flower, right? The flower existing independently of a mind, nothing to do with mind, it exists from the object 100%. That is known as objective existence. That is to be rejected. That is not true, right? Okay, before we end further, this is very important. Okay, let me ask this question and you give me the answer. My question is, what is the object of negation pertaining to emptiness? What is the object of negation pertaining to emptiness? Objective existence. My next question, what do you understand by objective existence? Anyone? Very quick. Yes, Vishen.
The object is objectively real, nothing to do with my mind.
Okay, the object exists as so independent of my mind that my mind has no role to play. That my mind has no role to play. That the object is there, my mind has nothing to do. Just remove the mind, it has nothing to do with that. Still the object exists, right? This is known as objective existence, and yet this is the greatest deception. We see things like this. That is the greatest deception. Okay, now you look at the other person sitting next to you quickly. Look at the other person sitting next to you. Hey, don't smile. Don't smile, just look at the other person. Okay, now tell me, how did the other person appear to you? Your mind creating it? Or no, so independently there? So independently there. This is deception. Right? This is deception. Right? In fact, what I would say is that if you see the reality of the other person, that other person is nothing but coming from a mind, you will not smile. The fact that you smile means you are seeing the person as objectively real and you believe that it is true. Right? That is a deception. That is a deception. Okay, the next question. How do I know that a person does not exist the way the person appears to me? This is the next question. You getting it? Okay, what is the next question? How do I know that the person does not exist the way the person appears to me as so objectively real? How do I know that this is not true? This perception is wrong. How can I know this? This question. For this, we have to go to essential number 2 and essential number 4. What is essential number 2? What is essential number 2? Understanding the emptiness of the objects being one with its parts, and number 3, understanding the emptiness of the objects being different from its parts. Okay, so for this now what we have to do, I hope you all have the picture distributed by Tarala, picture of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, you have that. Okay, so we will soon make use of this for the time being. Okay, listen. Okay, same. When you see the person so objectively real, okay, say for example, Okay, if you see the person like at arm's length distance, if you see the person at your arm's length distance, you will not smile at the distance between you and the person, because this is vacuum, is empty, right? You will only smile at the face of the person which you are seeing, maybe at arm's length distance, whatever distance it might be. You smile at that, which means that is away from your subject, or it's glued with the subject. Object that you are seeing, which made you smile, right? Is that object and you, is there a gap, space gap, distance gap, or no gap? There's a gap. Okay, now you look at the person through the gap and to the object, or you're looking at your own eyes. When you look at the other person, how do you do that? You look at the object, right? Through, okay. Which means that you see the object as from the object. You see the object as coming from the object, right? Okay. Now imagine, okay, now, first look at the same person once more. Right? Okay. Now, close your eyes and think of the same person in front of you. Not in front of you, think of the same person where he or she was, or where he or she is. Think of the same person. Okay, good. Nobody smiled the second time. Nobody smiled the second time. But in the first time, even though I asked you not to smile, you are covering your mouth and still you are smiling, right? In the second case, nobody smiled. Do you know why? First, you are seeing the person as so objectively there. With the second case, you know that it's coming from your mind. You are imagining it's coming from your mind. When you see that it's coming from your mind, no smile comes out of that, right? Fact that you smile means that you are seeing the object as objectively real. You're getting it? So with this smile, then all the emotions arise, right? When the person is seen as a little nasty, then what happens? You start frowning. Again, this is because of the perception that makes you into another domain of emotions. All these emotions are triggered by seeing the object as objectively real, right? And even if you think of the worst of the person in front of you, you imagine no anger arises. You know that is coming from a mind. So when you see that everything is coming from a mind, subjectively real, all the negative emotions dissolve, right? Okay, so with this, now the next question. Okay, now look at this flower. Say, look at this flower. How do you see this flower? As objectively real or as subjectively real? Objectively real. Now I don't have to explain what is objectively real, what is subjectively, already know this. So how do you see this flower? Objectively real, subjectively real? Objectively real. Now, if this flower does exist objectively, meaning from the object, nothing to do with your mind, if it does exist objectively, then say it should not be like the movie. The movie, you know that is coming from the projector. And in this case, your mind is the projector. So if the flower exists objectively, your mind should have no role to play. Your mind should have no role to play. If it does not have no role to play, then the object should be 100% from the object. 100% from the object. The subject has no role. Remove the subject. And in between subject and object, there's nothing there. Now, if the object exists, it should be 100% from the object. Now, if it does exist 100% from the object, you have to go closer to the object, you should be able to get it. Right? You go closer to the object and you should be able to get it. Right? Okay. Now, let's say, if somebody tells me that group A and group B, two groups. In this hall, there are only two groups, group A and group B. If somebody says that, oh, there's the reincarnation of Hitler in this hall, right? So I belong to group A, let's say, right? Okay, group A and group B. So in group A, if there is someone known as Mr. Hitler, right? It should be either in group A or it should be in group B. You agree with me or not? Because all the people that exist in this hall is only split into these two groups. There's no one in this hall which does not belong to either of these two groups. So you check group A. There's no one, known as Hitler. Then you go to group B. There's no one, known as Hitler. Then combined together, you can very confidently say that your statement that Hitler is in this room is wrong. It's not true. You agree with me or not? Likewise, if this flower exists objectively, there are only two ways by which it can exist objectively. If the flower exists objectively, there are only two ways by which it can exist objectively. So what are they? So this is what we're going to study now. Right? Study now. Okay. Tea break? Okay. Tea break, group discussion. See frustrations?